Hey folks, Todd here. Today we're going to install the BAKFlip MX4 TS from RealTruck on the Ford Super Duty. The tools we'll be using for this installation are a ratchet with a 1/2-inch socket, a Phillips head screwdriver, and a pair of scissors. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is install our bulkhead seal out of our kit. Now, bulkhead is a part of the bed that's right behind the cab. On top of the bulkhead, that's where we're going to want to put the seal, and we're going to want to put the seal all the way towards the inside, not closer to the cab, as far away from the cab as possible. So what I like to do is I like to just kind of roll it out and then peel away some of the tape protector. Get about 6 inches or so peeled back, and then go all the way up to the bed cap and push down. And I like to get it all the way up to the edge of the bed as well. And then once I have that kind of set in place, I'm just going to go ahead and keep peeling away tape. Get a nice long length out of it and just bring it down. I'm being very careful not to stretch it. Just let it drop in place. Keeps it nice and straight. When we get to the other side, we're going to cut it in place. And right up against the other bed cap. And then press it down in place. And now we can go ahead and turn to our rails. Okay, so here is our driver's side rail. Now let me point out a couple of things to you. Number one, we've got a T-slot that's going to face towards the outside of the truck. We've got our prop rod that faces towards the inside of the truck. Then up here, we have our drain spout. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull off our packaging material and discard that. That way we've got the drain spout right there. And I'm going to go ahead and attach our drain line to it. Just basically fit it right over top and set it in place. Next, I'm going to show you how this is going to hang on top of the bed cap. So basically, it's going to hang on the bed cap and then slide all the way forward to where this rests up against the bulkhead. Now, before we attach it, what we're going to need to do is set the clamps in place. This is one of the clamps, and what we're going to do here is we're going to take the clamp apart. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull the bolt out of the clamp. All right, we've got the bolt and washer we're going to set to the side. Then we have two halves of the clamp. We've got the half that's threaded, and then we've also got the other half that has a large oval hole. That's what we're going to be working with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and kind of tip this back. Now inside the rail, we're going to notice we've got a channel that's inside this rail, and it's actually shaped exactly the same way as the top side of this clamp. So what we're going to do, I'm going to set this clamp right about in this location here. So I'm going to set the clamp in, kind of push in and snap it into place. Now I can slide that clamp back and forth. I've already taken apart the other clamps, so I'm going to have a clamp here, and one next to the tailgate. So let me go ahead and set those in place. And then at the tailgate. All right, then I'm going to go ahead and rotate that down. Now, just real quick, since we're right here, I'm going to go ahead and cover this part. Our drain tube, we can either route outside the bed of the truck through an opening down here, or on these particular trucks, we've also got a little drain hole right here that goes kind of down where the stake pocket cover is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that location. So I don't need this much drain tube. What I'm going to do is just kind of cut it down, and I'm going to set it through here, just kind of push it down into the stake pocket. That way it's kind of right out of the way and it's not hanging down, obstructing anything down below where it doesn't need to. Next, what I'm going to do is line up where all my clamps need to go. So I'm going to feel kind of behind the bed cap, make sure there's no obstructions when I set the other side of the clamp in. And do that in all 4 of the locations. All right, and now I'm going to go ahead and install the first clamp, the rear side of the clamp. So basically we're just going to take the clamp half, set it up in place, and I'm going to hold that and put the bolt through. We're going to get it started just finger tight for right now, and then we'll go back and tighten it. All right, once we get that set in place, what I'm doing is I'm using the top notch on the inside clamp. There's a lower notch and a top notch. I'm going to the top notch. Make sure that it's all the way up against the bulkhead, and make sure that it's nice and level with your bed cap, the top of the bed cap. Now we're going to go ahead and take a 1/2 inch wrench or ratchet and snug that down. All right, so as I tighten that down, I'm pushing in on the bed cap, on the rail into the bed cap, and we're going to bring that to 10 foot-pounds. All right, and then I can go ahead and put my prop rod back into place. We're just going to do the rest of the clamps the exact same way. So as we lift the other clamp half up in there, make sure there's no obstructions behind the bed cap. I'm going to lift up on it a little bit to where I can catch that notch back there. And then just thread it in. All right, same thing with this clamp. Go, about 10 foot-pounds there, and last one. Exact same thing with the last clamp next to the tailgate. I like to get it as close to the tailgate as I can. And bring it to 10 foot-pounds. All right, repeat the same process for the rail on the opposite side. Okay, so now this is the way that the cover comes out of the box. I want to point out something to you right here. We've got a slam latch that's right here with a strap that's attached to it. Same thing on the opposite side. So if I grab this cover and lift up right here, I'm going to have the header panel that can fold out. The header panel is what we're going to focus on right now. So if I peel away this piece of tape, we're going to see a couple of holes right here. Let me set this off to the side. And then on the back side, I'm going to see another, slide that back, another piece of tape. We're going to go ahead and peel that off as well. And we've got another pair of holes underneath here. The exact same thing is happening on the other side. So everything I do on this side will also be doing on the other side. So let me go ahead and fold this over and set that out of the way as well. Now for the whole portion of it, that's what we're going to use to attach our clip receiver. So the clip receiver basically allows the clip to attach to that. And what we need to do is we need to first flip this over and attach our gasket to the back. So in the kit, we're going to have a couple of gaskets on an adhesive pad. Make sure you've got them lined up properly. Line up the holes. And then set that in place and bear down. And now we can set that in place. So next what I'm going to do is in our kit we've got a couple of threaded posts. Those threaded posts are going to go into these holes here. And now the threads are going to be visible on this side. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this in place here, lined up to those 2 threaded holes. And we've also got the little screws, Phillips head screws that are in our kit. We're going to line those up to the threaded holes. We're going to take a Phillips head screwdriver and tighten them down. I actually like to get both of them started before I tighten either one of them down. And then we just want to get it snug. You don't need to over tighten it. All right, now this is our cover retaining clamp. It's going to attach to this portion right here, this little C channel. Now you notice this has got an opening here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen up our cover retaining clamp. Once that's loosened up, I can take and push up, and we're going to expose a carriage bolt. There's also a notch right here in the clamp. On this side of the clamp, there is a groove on the jaw portion. So what we're going to do is we're going to slide this carriage bolt into this channel. That groove is going to capture the square head on the carriage bolt so that it cannot spin. So it's going to slide in there, and then I'm going to allow this notch to drop down into the groove. And then just let it snug down for right now. We don't need to tighten it. We're just kind of keep it in place so that we can set it on top of the bed caps. We're going to repeat the same process on the opposite side and then put this onto the bed of the truck. All right, so now we're just going to take the cover and set it up on top of the bed caps. Allow the rubber flap to lay over top of the bulkhead seal. All right, so we're just going to bring one panel back at a time and make slight adjustments so that everything is nice and square and centered. We can also remove any kind of packing material as we go. Last one back at the tailgate. Check for center back here as well. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and check tailgate engagement. The way I'm going to do that is have the cover lifted up, drop this down and see where it's going to contact. Make sure it's nice and square. All right, that looks like I need to correct just a little bit. Looks good. All right, now we're going to go ahead and very gently fold it up to the cab of the truck, folding one panel at a time, and make sure we're careful not to shift it out of alignment. Then we can go up underneath and fasten it from the bottom. Okay, so now we're up underneath the cover on the driver's side. This is the rail that we've installed, and here's our cover retaining clamp. And this is the bulkhead up front. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and loosen this up and allow this to drop down. Now I want to remind you, we've got this notch right here. That notch needs to stay nested inside this channel. And then as we roll it over, the groove that's on the jaw portion needs to nest onto the rail, just like so. And that's going to trap that rail. Now we can go ahead and snug this down. Don't need to over tighten it, just get it nice and snug. Once we do that, just repeat the same process on the opposite side. Okay, now this cover is designed to lean up against the glass on the back, but to buffer that cover, we also have 3 rubber bumpers that will be installed to protect the cab and the cover against each other. So one is going to be installed right in the center. We're going to have one installed on this side where it's going to touch the glass and one on this side. But before we install those, these do apply with automotive grade tape. Before those are installed, we need to first prep this surface that they're going to be adhering to. We're going to use some isopropyl alcohol. And so I'm just going to get some into a rag here and wipe that surface down. What that does is that removes any kind of residues or any kind of just from manufacturing, any kind of debris that might have collected, and gets a clean surface to mount to for good adhesion. Then we're going to take each one and peel off the vinyl protective surface. Let it get nice and dry. And then attach it. Right, each one we're going to kind of bear down. This is a pressure sensitive adhesive, so you need to have some good pressure on it to get good bond. And then next one. And then the last one. All right, there we go. Well, it's just that simple, and that concludes the installation.